7 expenses that will drain your retirement savings. Ooh, I'm a sucker for these kind of lists. 7 things to know that Josh is the best. 7 reasons why Josh is the worst. Put them in there. The 7 reasons why Josh is the worst YouTuber. Put it in there in the notes right there. What else? 7 reasons why Charlotte should never have married Josh. That's a good one too. I'm still stunned at this guy who got so offended by me making fun of him last night. I can't get over it, man. I'm like, dude, I was just talking to these guys, say from Louisiana, who are just crushing, and I was having a chat about this because me and this guy were trading emails and having a good time with each other. And I told him about the story. He goes, man, doesn't he realize that when you make fun of people, that's the people you like the most? You don't make fun of people who can't stand. It's like, dude, I don't want anything to do with it. It's just, I was like, oh my goodness. It bothers me, man, that someone literally thought when I was making fun of him, I was like, it's crazy. All right, beat us, man. Yeah, it was so. Our Crazy Jill has sent this to me, the conspiracy theorist of all. You think I'm a conspiracy theorist? Jill, you know who you are in Indiana. She's a conspiracy theorist. She was like, why do we have these pyramids in Indiana? I said, you know why, Jill. You know why there's pyramids in Indiana? Because the history we've been told is wrong. People were here well before Christopher Columbus, and not just American Indians. There's other types of people here. We know that Christopher Columbus, by the way, saw blue-eyed, yellow-haired people in the United States. Maybe Joseph Smith was correct. Maybe Jesus was in the United States. Who knows, man? Who knows? The history we've been told is absolutely what Napoleon said. History is an agreed-upon lie. That's just a fact. All right, let's keep going here. 7 expenses out of there. 7 expenses that will drain your savings, retirement savings the fastest, says GoBankingRates.com. All right. I hate these things, like all these freaking ads in here. It drives me crazy. Let's see. As you're planning for retirement, it's important to anticipate some of the costs that can eat into your savings. Here are 7. Healthcare. Yep, I agree with that. Even Medicare out-of-pocket expenses can be significant, says this guy or lady. All right. Oh boy. No, they do. They use. Oh, for the love. One estimate by. Dude, look how stupid this is. One estimate by whoever these people are says a healthy 65-year-old couple who retired in 2021 will likely spend between look how $156,208 and $1 million. So this is very specific. I'm surprised they don't get to the pennies there. That's very specific. $156,208. That'll be the low end, and $1 million on the high end. Okay. Why not have 1 million? That's just stupid. I mean, anyway, but it's 100% true, man. I mean, I charge each couple $500 depending on the state. If you're in a blue state, $550. If you're in a red state, $500 a month for Medicare for each person. That's 1,000 schmackaroonies a month, dude. Without even adjusting for inflation. If you live 10 years, that's $12,000 between you and your spouse. That's $120,000. That's just a fact. That's what I charge. It's one of the bigger expenses for most of the people I work with in retirement. It just is, man, because most people I work in retirement, guess what? They just don't spend that much. They just don't. They're not spending $150,000 a year. They're just not. I mean, some people do. That's okay. All right. So, and I got some people are on the Part C, by the way, Medicare Advantage, and they're loving it. Now, I don't know if that's going to be loving it if things go south for Medicare Advantage in terms of changes all the time. I think if you can afford it, you go on Medicare supplemental policy, but I'm not a licensed insurance advisor. I'll leave that to you to talk to my man J.O. over at MaximizeYourMedicare.com or Danielle, what's her name? Danielle Roberts down there at BoomerBenefits.com. You talk to those people, they'll get you situated. But I like Medicare supplemental policies if you can afford it. All right, I'm not going to get into Part C. Homeownership. If you own a home, that can be another source of major expense. 100%, man. As home age, significant repairs like plumbing, roof replacements. Yep. From 2016 to 20, Americans aged 65 and older spent an average of, we don't like to use the average, but spent $16,880 per year on housing-related costs. Now, what they don't say here is that if your mortgage is paid off, you're not spending anywhere near that. You're just not. So the $16,680 per year is all inclusive for everything. And don't forget, if you actually read my book right here, I talked about how the BLS, when it comes to CPI, defines for homeownership. We have And that's not what they're saying for the BLS. The BLS, Consumer Expenditure Surveys, is not using owner equivalent rent or anything like that. They're just using how much do people spend. And they literally define it. If you have a mortgage, this is what you spend. If you don't have a mortgage, this is what you spend. If you don't have a mortgage, you're just not spending that much. And I go into a deep dive in this book, which you should get. It's my favorite book. 170 pages. I enjoyed writing that one the most. All right, let's keep going. Inflation. Inflation can have a significant impact on your savings. All right, here's Jeff Bush. Jeb Bush's brother. This can be particularly troublesome if your portfolio is made up of fixed income strategies that don't have the ability to keep up with inflation by increasing income over time. I completely agree with that, 100%. If you're on a fixed income being bonds, all right, and you have $100,000 of income, and you're spending $100,000 bucks. The spending next year could be $103,000 bucks, but you still only have $100,000 of income. I completely agree. Now, on the other hand, though, what happens for retirees? Their spending doesn't go from 100 to 103 by and large. Their spending goes to 98 to 96. Not for everybody, but if we look at if we're going to use BLS, we got to use BLS across the board. You can't just use BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics numbers, to say, oh, look, the average retiree spends this on housing, but not look at the other side of it. What's the average retiree spending? It goes down, according to BLS. This is just fact. Adult children and their children, yeah. Student loans to cell phone bills, many retirees find themselves assisting their children. 79% of parents were providing financial support to their adult children, contributing in a combined of $500 billion. Wow. Taxes. Now, here's a big issue I have with this right here. Once you start taking out money of your retirement accounts, you have to pay taxes. Yep. You may also have to pay taxes on a portion of your Social Security. You know what I'm saying? But if you look at my books, you can retire on Social Security. I showed you that you don't have to pay taxes if Social Security is the bulk of your expenditure, of your income. Now, you might have to pay some. I don't want to say you won't have to, but if Social Security is your only source of income, I guarantee you're not paying any taxes. I just guarantee you that. If Social Security and $20,000 of IRA distributions are your income, I guarantee your tax man is going to be very, very low. If you're married, if you're single, a little bit higher, but still quite low. I'm just telling you right now. You can have a lot of income, the bulk of it being on Social Security, and not have to pay much tax. Just the guy I just talked to today from Louisiana. Between his pension, from his Air Force pension, his civil service pension, his Social Security, his wife's Social Security, in let's say, was it 10 years? I can't remember. But they're going to be making like $182,000 a year. Now, not today's dollars, but in 10, I think maybe it's 20 years. I can't remember. $182,000 a year. I think it was in 20 years. They're going to pay like $18,000 in tax. That's a 10% effective tax rate. That's just not that big of a deal. Just not. And that's with pensions, which are fully taxed from the federal government. Now, the state doesn't tax it, but still, he's already at a 12% tax bracket anyway. So he's paying an effective 10% tax rate. You can't shake a stick at that. And that's with pensions, not just Social Security. For me, it's going to be Social Security, Roth IRA, and any income I get from my brokerage account, which would be qualified dividend income and long-term capital gains. So it's going to be tax-free. Market downturns. So that's the big one right there. So again, the headline is 7 expenses that will drain your retirement the fast. The biggest one is market downturns right here, without question. In order to reach your retirement goals, you have to put some of your money at high risk, but you don't have to do that forever. I was talking to this guy today, my man out in Kansas, freaking crush. I love this guy. He didn't want to write that $68,000 check to pay off his mortgage, but his wife said, let's do it, and he did it, and man, he's happy as a clam. I said, that's why you got to listen to your wife. She knows a couple things. Anyway, so he paid off his mortgage. Right now, he's only 54 years old. His wife's 53. Yeah, and they're 90-10 stocks to bonds. And we're running the numbers. I said, but 10 years from now when you retire, you're not going to be 90-10 anymore. At that point, it'll be 50-50, 60-40. Situation dictates, of course. But just because you're aggressive now doesn't mean you have to stay aggressive for the rest of your life. It's just in fact, you shouldn't. Let's see. While over time it could result in larger returns, be more aggressive, short-term market downturns can have a significant impact on your retirement savings. Actually, I want to show you guys something. Watch this. EDV, a bond fund, long-term government bonds, zero coupon bonds. So look right here. In July of 2020, is at $13,644. Come all the way down here to $5,576. Isn't that crazy? 13,644. So we take 13,644 minus 5576 divided by 13,644. It was down 60%. 60%. Isn't that not crazy? Yes, it is. I mean, that's amazing to me how much. And then you look at, we're going to look at the VFINX right there. And we're going to go here, 2007 to 2009. And so that was a bond fund. Then we're going to go here, this S&P 500. Watch this. It was down October 2007 right there. It was at 11,077. It fell to 5,400. 11. This is stocks, all stocks. 11,0. Let's just say to 5,400. 57%. This is stocks. The bond fund was down more than the S&P 500. Tell me that's not crazy. Now let's go to. I'm not sure if it's going to show us Qs. Let me hold on just a second. Let's go to QQQ. Go here. Oops, I gotta go. Hold on a sec. We're gonna go to 2000 right there. Boink to 2003. Watch what happens to the Qs. I'm not sure if it's gonna show us or not. It should. Yeah, look at this. 12,000 to 2,000 bucks. I mean, that's 80% down. It's freaking crazy, man. You can't afford any of that stuff. Obviously, you're kind of expecting it in the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. You're not expecting long-term government bonds. You cannot have that happen. You can't have all your eggs in one basket. You just can't do it. When you're retired. I mean, how long did it take the NASDAQ to get back to 11,000 bucks? So let's go. Hold on a sec. I mean, it was down 80 freaking percent. So it's at 11,000 bucks right there. It took till 2014. It took to freaking 12 years just to get back. If you're pulling money out of this thing, you're doomed. Now look at this. But look at where we are now. Yeah. Let's log that. Watch this. Not quite as impressive, but still impressive. Does that mean anything to you right here, though? Right? I mean, look at that. From 2009 to 2023, you can't. Where I'm going with this is, you can't chase. Can't chase numbers, and B, you certainly, if it's had that such of a run like this, look at this, 10,000 to 149,000 over the course of 15 years. That's a compounded at 19%, dude. See, now here's the conundrum we have. Is that due to the horrific aughts that it went through as just making up? I think some of that has to be said there. So it's averaged basically 20% for the last 15 years. And the overall thing is averaged 6.94. That's how bad the first 10 years were. So you can't say, well, the last 10 years has been so good, it's impaired, it's doomed to go down. We don't know that. That could be just making up for how bad it was before. I don't know. You don't know. Now let's go to EDV and run the same thing. I'm just curious, actually. Let's see what EDV did, because maybe EDV just gave up all the gains it had in the teens. I don't know. We'll see. So here we are, going back to 2009 was incepted. It went from 10,000 bucks to 22, 20. That's 11 years. That's not a huge rate of return. It's about 7% rate of return for a bond. That's pretty good, man. I'm not going to lie to you, but a little bit less because it's 11 years. But then we factor in look at that. We are right back to where we were. We've averaged 0.33%. Anyway, so where I'm going with this is, just because this had a great decade doesn't mean the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 doesn't mean it's doomed to have a bad decade. Because those decades simply might be making up for the bad decade it had in the aughts. No one knows. No one knows. In this case, the EDV, though, you're like, it had a bad decade. I mean, it had a pretty good decade, but literally in the course of 2 years, it gave it all back. That's what's crazy. I mean, who knows? I don't know. But going back to what these guys say here is that we can't afford a huge market downturn when you're pulling money out. So what's this guy say? George Bush's brother. If you're in retirement, it suggests setting aside at least 3 years' worth of income in an account with low volatility. Could not agree more. 100%. Longevity. For better or worse, people live much longer. They do live much longer these days than they used to. Much longer. I don't know about that. A baby born in the U.S. in 2021 has an estimated life expectancy of over 76 years. But I'm not a baby born today, people. I'm 53 years old. So a baby life expectancy has nothing to do with me. Life expectancy has to do if you're 65. What's your life expectancy now compared to what it was? So you're living a few years longer, but not, what do they say, much longer. It's just silly. Always have a rainy day fund. Let me guess, long-term care insurance. Okay, long-term care. Nothing expensive there at all. But anyway, I agree. 7 funds, 7 expenses that could rock your world right there. And you got to be careful. You got to be on the lookout for this stuff, dude, for sure. Having your mortgage paid off, maintaining your health. The people I talked to today, now they're retired. They're going to the gym 3 times a day, 3 times a week. Just getting out there, getting your blood pumping. You know what I'm saying? Being content. Contentment, man. I tell you, being content will alleviate a lot of the issues you got to deal with emotionally, which affects your physical ability. That's just a fact, man. Get right with God first and foremost. Get right with Jesus. Get right with God. Get right with your own soul. Say, what am I here to do for the rest of my life? I'm not slaving away anymore. I'm going to do what I want to do, but I also got to do something good for the world. So that's what you got to do. You got to protect your downside risk. You got to pay off your mortgage, man. If you're going to, don't be freaking doing meth. Don't be doing any of that crap. Give up alcohol. Alcohol is nothing good with alcohol, dude. Homer says alcohol, the problem and the cure, the cause and the cure for all of life's problems. I guarantee if we got rid of alcohol, and I'm not saying ban it. I don't agree. Banning it is stupid. But if we got rid of it, I guarantee all of a sudden people are like, hey, man, there won't be any more fighting, anything like that. I guarantee. It's not going to happen, but I guarantee that would solve a lot of problems and obesity, drunk driving, stupid fights, and stuff like that. Ideally, you got to take some money on the side and put it to the side. And now you're getting 5 1/4 on money markets. No. All right, love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe to the email list down below, and we'll see you. Oh, by the way, if you want to help the channel, by all means, use my Amazon link. I'll put it in the first comment. Anytime you're shopping, click on my link, and whatever you buy from then on, I don't know what it is. I don't know who you are, but Amazon will pay me a big fat commission. Don't you want to help me out?